Hey, welcome back to ESA Summer Online. We are raising money for Alzheimerfonden, which is the Swedish Alzheimer Foundation. Links to donate can be found below the stream. We would also like to thank Kaspersky, Twitch, and ViewSonic for sponsoring this event. Now it's time for Jaxler running MediEvil. Take it away.
Alright, thanks, Poker. So, this is MediEvil. This is a PS1 hack and slash platformer that was released in 1998, so not too long after Ocarina of Time, actually. Before we get squared away, I am Jaxler. I'm going to be the guy doing the run. And this run's going to be kind of interesting. The first 9.5 minutes of the run are going to be fairly straightforward and fairly comfy. And then after that, this run's difficulty is going to spiral out of control. So I will need all of your energy, everyone who's watching at home. This is a really difficult run, and I hope you'll all find this at least fairly interesting, if not cool to watch. So yeah. I don't have too much to say beforehand, so we're going to get started here. So time starts when I select new game here. I'll start counting from 3, and then we'll start timer on go. Okay? 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so I'm going to hold start to skip the initial cutscene, and we're going to load into Dan's crypt. So during the first sort of 9.5 minutes, I'm going to be mostly talking over minor gameplay stuff as well as a bit of the story. So, the story of this game goes as follows. 100 years ago, Sir Dan of Gallowmere bravely helped fight off evil necromancer Xerok to defend the land of Gallowmere from the undead. So, as the legend goes, he was the one who struck down Xerok before getting basically shot at the same time by an arrow. It turns out that Sir Dan actually got shot in the eye by an arrow at the very beginning of the encounter, which is why he's missing an eye in this game. 100 years pass, Xerok has actually survived the fight and come back from hiding, and now he's resurrected the dead and is trying to take over Gallowmere again, and is actually really close to succeeding this time. Unwittingly, he has also resurrected Sir Daniel Fortescue as well, so we are controlling Dan in this game on his quest to basically fulfill the legacy that had been spread by word of mouth, if you will. So now, the graveyard is sort of the first standard level of this game. It's pretty straightforward. I'm going to be grabbing a bunch of runes that serve as keys in this game to sort of unlock further progression. There's not really too many major tricks that you're going to be seeing here at the start. I have a small sword, and that's really not enough to kill too many enemies. So what I'm going to be trying to do is sort of position the enemies off camera to be able to reduce lag. It's kind of a trend that you see in games of this age. But this first level is pretty straightforward. I'm going to be hitting that statue a couple of times for a puzzle so that I can open these gates. And then we're going to grab a life bottle here. So you saw me grab one in Dan's crypt as well. These each equate to a full health refill, and these are going to be very necessary throughout the run. This game is kind of notorious for aggressively wanting you to 100% complete it. And that is normally done by collecting these chalices, such as this one right here, after killing a certain amount of enemies. Now, that's actually what you normally do in the 100% category, which was actually shown off at ESA Winter 2020 by our good friend Glackham. But in the any percent category, it's going to be much more difficult. We're going to be going the whole game without collecting a single chalice. And if you're familiar with this game, that's going to sound kind of insane to you. Because getting these chalices awards you with new weapon upgrades and the occasional money, as well as a life bottle in certain instances, but we're going to be completely foregoing them throughout the whole duration of the run. Now, loading into Cemetery Hill here, we get to see our good friend Xerok. He's the guy who lifted us back from the dead. He's going to activate some gargoyles here who will roll some not barrels, wrong series, some boulders at us while we go ahead and get started. So I'm going to kill that zombie right there to help reduce a little bit of lag. And here's sort of the first little minor skip of the run. If I jam Sir Dan into that pillar, he just kind of clips past the rock, and that allows me to grab this wooden club a little bit earlier than intended. So the wooden club lets us break these boulders. And so normally we could just go to the top of the level here, but what we need to do is find a hidden collectible called the Witch's Talisman in this cave over here. We need this in order to be able to get a dragon gem from the Pumpkin Witch in the Pumpkin Serpent level, which technically isn't needed to beat the game anymore. It was recently discovered that we can actually skip all the dragon gems, but that's kind of its own category now, and the category I'm running for y'all is sort of what any percent was before that was found. I don't even know if anyone's actually completed a run RTA with that skip yet, but I'll bring that up a bit more as we get there. Just a bit of minor platforming here as we go up Cemetery Hill. Now, there is a bit of a swag strat where you can do where you can jump off that tree branch. I don't go for it because I have never hit it RTA before. But shoutouts to Jacobo the Chocobo, the world record holder, for getting it consistently. Absolute mad lad. So yeah, all in all, pretty good Cemetery Hill. Like I said earlier, the run starts off rather straightforward. But the Hilltop Mausoleum is going to be our first instance of a boss level. So we're going to have to search around a bit to find some keys. But then after that, we'll be going into a boss encounter with the Glass Demon, or the Stained Glass Demon, who, in all honesty, I think is one of the coolest opening bosses to a game I've ever played. It looks even cooler in the remake IMO. For those of you who don't know, this game actually received a PS4 remake in 2019, so if you see me playing this game and you're like, oh, this game looks really sick, I kind of want to try it, but I don't have a PS1 or a PS2, check out the remake. It's on PS4, and it's really, really good, so you'll hear me talk a bit more about that a bit later, though. But we had to go through that rumbling tunnel there to grab the Earth Rune, and then we're actually going to be passing through, oh, that's not good. So these unarmed imps can actually steal whatever weapon you're holding, so he took my club. I really need this club. As you'll see later, the club is by far the most broken weapon in the whole game. So I tried to jump there to avoid him stealing my weapon, but I was a bit of a goof, so he had a little bit of fun with it, but not a huge deal. We got the Chaos Rune now, and now we're gonna go do a short little puzzle here where we push this flame underneath the Glass Demon's slumbering heart, and that will activate the trigger for the boss fight, so we can go take care of it later. But yeah, I guess as we're sitting through this cutscene, I'm going to be a little bit quiet during the boss fight because I'm going to try to hit a quick cycle on the fight. So I'm going to try to explain that a bit while we're walking there. So in the arena, we're going to get our next weapon, which is the throwing knives. Weapons in this game have durability either by percentage on the club or by amount of ammo. And what I'm going to be trying to do is use charged knife attacks to hit the boss's weak point multiple times. And if I do this properly and squeeze in a couple extra knife throws, I can get a quick cycle in that skips an extra phase of attacks at the end. So I'm going to be rather quiet here while I try to focus and get this. This is kind of tricky. So I'm going to be looking for 5 charge throws. So 1, 2, 3, well, I think a knife missed, 4. Yeah, okay, I had a couple of knives miss. I'm supposed to be at 275 health or lower right there, but that's fine. I can try to repair this, but it will be a little bit tricky. So now he's going to jump to the middle. 3 charge attacks. 2. 3. Then I'm going to mash square and X. Okay, he's down to 134. I might still be able to get the cycle. That was pretty good. If I get it, I'll do 3 charge attacks and he should fall over. So let's see if we got this. If not, I'll have to do an extra phase and that's not a big deal. So 1. Oh, we got it. Let's go. Okay, we barely hit the health threshold. That's really, really sick. That saves roughly 20 seconds. So, I obviously would have kept going because, you know, this is a marathon, but that can be a bit of a reset heavy point for RTA runs of this game, or rather reset attempts for PB. But that was a really good Hilltop Mausoleum. Now, after this point, in the Return to Graveyard level is where we start to see some more skips. And then once we get to the levels after that is where things start to get a little bit insane. So if you've found this pretty comfy so far, get ready for a bit of a change of pace starting with this level. Beginning of this level is fairly straightforward. We went all the way up to the Hilltop Mausoleum to get a key to unlock a door. So this is kind of a similar level to the initial graveyard, except for the layout's a tad different. But I'm going to be jumping over some enemies. I'm really trying to mitigate taking as little damage as possible. That's one of sort of the big keys of this run is health management, but that doesn't really come into play until much later. So I'm going to use the key, equip the club, and then I'm going to hit this werewolf and this guy so they don't bother me for this skip right here. I'm going to stand on this pixels-wide tombstone, and then, okay, it ate my jump there. Let's try this again. And then I landed on the coffin. Nice. And then by sandwiching myself between the 2 coffins, I can actually clip through the gate and skip having to get the star rune in this level. Now grab the extra health energy vial there for free. That gets you about a full life bottle's worth. And now we've got a bit of a mini boss with the Guardians of the Graveyard here. If I do this right, this will go by extremely quickly. Alright, one more hit and we should be good. So yeah, this is... Oh, that was a whiff. Alright, one more hit. I promise. There we go. So that fight can be a little bit tricky, but that awards us with the Daring Dash, which is going to be our primary form of movement. I won't have too much time to talk about the intricacies of it, though, because going into the next level is our first really major sequence break called the Enchanted Earth loop. Now, hearing Enchanted Earth, if you play this game, you might be a little confused. So I'm actually... Oh, okay, that's fine. In the Enchanted Earth, you're not supposed to be able to progress until you get to the Sleeping Village level and return with the Shadow Artifact, which acts as a key in this level. But what I'm gonna do is a out-of-bounds trick that, if I do properly, will let me wrap around straight to the end level trigger and let me skip that whole bit of a side quest. Game, could you please let me up the stairs? I'm getting bullied by a frog. That's really disrespectful, game. Alright, so I'm holding shield here just to make sure I don't get knocked off. And then once I get to the second sort of elevator, I'm going to be a bit quiet, attempt the trick, and then I'll try to explain it, what it's called, after I hopefully successfully hit it. So, this might not make a lot of sense, but just bear with me for a second here. Okay, that's unfortunate. I'm going to lose a life bottle there, but as long as I don't completely run out of health, that's not a huge deal. So let me try this again. Unfortunately, we're going to have to lose a bit of time here waiting for the conveyor to go back up to its position. This trick is kind of a run killer, for sure. But I'm going to try it again here. Okay, we got it. So you're going to see me fall into some void. I'm going to wait for Dan to turn, and then I'm going to hold up and to the right. So hold up and to the right, and hopefully this works. Got it. Okay, cool. Second try is totally fine. So, I'll explain a bit about that trick a little bit later, once we get to Pools of the Ancient Dead. But I basically went out of bounds there in order to basically hit the end level trigger behind a locked door that's normally locked until you beat the level casually. But this is going to let us go to Pools of the Ancient Dead. For this category, we are going to have to go back to earlier levels to grab the 2 Dragon Gems. But we're going to get Pools of the Ancient Dead out of the way right now because it'll get us another life bottle, which will make later levels much easier. So this level's gimmick is that we have to collect these 8 soul helmets in order to give to... Basically, this game's equivalent of the boatman of the River Styx, and he will let us have access to the next level. Game ate my dash there. That was kind of rude. I'm going to focus for this jump real quick just to make sure I don't beef it again, because that would be a little embarrassing. But get wrecked. Anywho, dashing is kind of weird in this game. Basically, you're trying to do timed dashes so you can conserve as much speed as possible, and also do jumps straight out of dashes if you want to conserve dash speed mid-air. It's not as simple as mashing the triangle button to do a daring dash, though, because if you try to mash, it will actually eat your dash input. So there's a bit of a strange rhythm to it that's kind of hard to describe without having like an input display, but just trust me when I say it's a little bit complicated. And then I'm going to go for this level loop exactly once, and then I'll go for an easier version. But I have to go for this for marathon swag. 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2 up left, 1, 2 down left, 5 down, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 left, and then hold down after the end of the dash. And if I did that right, it may or may not work. This looks good. Oh, okay. So I was close, but I didn't quite do the loop properly. So I'm gonna go for a backup strat that is much safer. So this will give me a good amount of time to explain exactly what a level loop is. Cool, I got it. Alright, so what I'm doing is a form of pause buffering there, where I open the equipment menu with select, and then double tap select again to close and then reopen the menu. And what that'll do is after about a half a second, it'll reopen the menu. And during that window where it's waiting to open the menu again, you can actually move Sordana around a tad bit. what that does is it lets you fall off the ledge with the menu open. And if you do that, it actually disables kill planes while you have the menu still open. So I do that right there in order to get out of bounds. And then when you see the screen go black a bunch, what's actually happening is, okay, my controller's bugging just a tad, so cool. Got the dash jump. That's just a little bit of a cutscene skip right there. And then we give him the soul helmets. The reason why that gets me past the door actually is kind of interesting. So the game keeps track of Dan's height as a Y coordinate value, essentially. And that's just registered as an integer. So 1, 0, 2, 3, 4, no decimals or floats or anything like that. Now, essentially what that means is, for this game at least, that's an unsigned integer. Which means that if a number goes negative, it'll wrap up to a maximum value. If that might not make sense if you're not familiar with computer programming. But essentially, if you fall below y equals 0, your y coordinate will actually wrap around to something ridiculously high, and that will allow you to wrap back up to the top of the level and continue falling infinitely, essentially. And you can use that to sort of, if you know where you're going and you've kind of brute forced a setup, you can basically go anywhere you want to. There are some restrictions to it. The camera tends to flip on you a lot while you're attempting a level loop. But that's going to be one of the primary tricks you're going to be seeing us do throughout the run in order to skip major portions of levels. But going through Scarecrow Fields here, we're going in here to grab a rune and an extra club. This restores our durability, and it's going to be really crucial for the Pumpkin Serpent level coming up later. Now, a lot of this level is essentially movement, but also has these two metal mecha Scarecrow mini-bosses, which are kind of hysterical. What I'm going to be doing is going underneath them while they're kind of getting revved up, hit the head with 2 charged throws of the knives from the Hilltop Mausoleum, and then hit the imp that's controlling it from the back with 2 charged throws as well. And then he falls over. Gonna re-equip the club here just for convenience for later. That'll give me the Chaos Room. And then, now this skip isn't technically required, but I like to do this for marathon safety to get an extra life bottle. So I do, okay, I'm gonna have to try this again. This trick is really annoying every time I try to do this in a no reset kind of environment, so let me just focus for a second. There we go. So now there's like these demons in the cornfields for some reason that instant kill you and remove a whole life bottle. But if you time dash jumps perfectly, you can actually avoid that. The dust trails that you see are okay, that was just, I shouldn't have gone for that. We'll go around. But essentially, if you time dash jumps properly, you can skip over bits of the corn or wheat. I think it's corn. I think that's confirmed in the remake. But I use that to be able to skip some sections and also be able to get that life bottle without having to do a puzzle involving firing up a broken down lawnmower to, well, I guess it's not really a lawnmower. Is it a lawnmower? I don't know. I don't know what kind of medieval technology they used for harvesting. It's a harvester. We'll call it a harvester. And, anywho, that's the end of Scarecrow Fields. Now we're coming into Pumpkin Gorge. Probably one of my favorite levels to do in the run because the movement is so tight. This is where you really get to see the Daring Dash movement tech come into play, where I'm going to be chaining Daring Dashes throughout in order to conserve momentum and go through here super fast. This is one of the levels that when I saw the speedrun for the first time is what convinced me to pick up the run. It's just so much fun to go through here quick. I'm gonna go right... Oh, yeah.
Jaxler, would we have just some time? Because I've got fat donations coming our way.
Oh, yeah. This would be a great time. This is mostly movement and a couple of small skips. Go ahead.
Perfect. So we have 2 donations from Jacobo the Chocobo, one for $30 and the other one for $35. Thank you so much for both of them. We also have a $100 donation from Zem saying, huge Dilwingo fan, huge Jaxler1 fan, so proud to see my boys on the big screen. Congrats on a wonderful run, Dil, and good luck on your run, Jaxler. Thank you so much for that handle. And with that, we are just $13 away from $21,000 raised for Alzheimer Foundation during ESA Summer Online. Thank you so very much to everyone who's donated so far.
Yeah, and big thanks especially Zem for your crazy generous donation, as well as Jacobo as well for... double, big double drop. Jacobo the Chocobo is actually the current world record holder for this category that I'm running right now, and he is a really good friend of mine, as well as being super kind and generous with his time helping people run this game. So huge shout-outs to my boy. Oh, that sucks. Okay. So I'm gonna. I was going for a skip there where I tried to catch the moon rune before this sort of root sort of raised itself up, but I'm a bit hit and miss with it, so that's fine. I'm just gonna have to attack these roots that are coming out of the ground for a tad bit, so I can lower it down just enough so I can reach it with a dash jump off of these pumpkins. That should be good enough. Cool. Okay. So go ahead and re-equip the club for later, and then we're gonna take this path to grab an energy vial, and then we're gonna come back down this way. Backtrack just a tad because I'm gonna need all the health I need going into Pumpkin Serpent, so I'm playing it a bit safe here for marathon's sake. Okay, there we go. Yeah, the enemies at this point in the run are starting to deal like a boatload of damage. So it becomes very, very costly to take a bunch of damage from these enemies, so I'm trying to be very careful here. But coming up here is the second boss of the run. This is the Pumpkin Serpent. And so the way this level is going to work is there's a bunch of pods that I'm going to have to break before I can actually trigger the start of the fight. So here's number one. We're going to be breaking all these with the club. And then I'm trying to move in very specific ways here to avoid as much damage as possible and to try to avoid a bunch of lag. There are a lot of enemies in this level, and it can be very easy for the game to sort of lock up a bit if you don't manipulate your camera so that they're off screen, if that makes any sense. You're also seeing me put to use this iron shield that I picked up at the top of the hill in Pumpkin Gorge. This allows me to absorb a couple of extra hits, but it's a little unreliable, so it's still really important that I try to weave out of enemy attacks as much as possible. So right here, I'm going to break this sort of explosive crate open so that it damages the boss a tad and deals with some enemies during the fight, or during the cutscene before the fight. And now I'm just going to jump and kind of face tank. Oh, okay, my controller is goofing. You're supposed to normally kind of do this fight with projectile weapons, but a wooden club is much more effective against a pumpkin than a throwing knife, so that's going to be the option I go for. And doing that, the whole reason we're over here is that once we defeat the Pumpkin Serpent, the Pumpkin Witch, which we can summon with that Witch's Talisman that we got in Cemetery Hill, will reward us with one of the two game's Dragon Gems. The Dragon Gems are used to unlock the Dragon Armor, which is required to beat the game for this route. Again, Runner/Tasser Crash managed to find a skip not too long ago that finally allows us to skip the Dragon Armor. But I wanted to keep this run sort of consistent with what I submitted originally, so we're going to be going for the Dragon Armor route. I also think it's a bit of a cooler run, but that's just sort of a personal preference thing. So now we're going to be going into the Sleeping Village. Now, our run-through of this level is going to be a bit different from it is casually because we don't have to worry about getting the Shadow Artifact because we already beat the Enchanted Earth. So as a result, there's going to be a bunch of puzzles that we can skip. Simply because we don't need to worry about the Shadow Artifact. But there's also portions of the level we are going to have to do, because if we try to go too far into the level before hitting certain crucial triggers, it crashes the game. So I'm going to be going through here. The major thing that we need to do is summon Xerox Guard in order to avoid a crash later on in the level. So what I have to do is grab this Earth Rune, hit this hidden switch right here, by just sort of ramming into it and shoulder checking it. This allows me to access the Landlord's Bust, which is normally used for a puzzle to access a key to get into the place with the Shadow Artifact. I'm going to be picking up a club refill on durability here, if I can avoid pushing a bunch of barrels. But the whole reason we get the Landlord's Bust is that's what triggers this cutscene that spawns all of the soldiers. Seeing this cutscene is what avoids a game crash a bit later here. So very important that we go do this. But then after this, we kind of have a bit of free roam here. We have to go open another door in the same building with the Shadow Artifact. But we're going to be skipping the key that we need to unlock the Shadow Artifact. So this lets us do some cool things. I'm going to jump at this tree, and it will eventually just give up and allow me to clip right through. Now, what I'm going to do here is a bit of a tricky dash jump, and this should... Okay. I'm gonna have to back this up. This is a bit tricky, so give me a second here. Come on, Dan, you can do it. Okay, there we go. So I get another shot at this. This is a very tight window, so... Come on. You can do it, Dan, I believe. Oh, okay, I didn't hold right quickly enough. This trick's really hard, so this might take me a couple of tries. Let me click back in and out of bounds. It's not technically in bounds, but not technically out of bounds. There we go, that's what I was looking for. So I'm trying to arc to the right as I click through the wall to put me back in bounds. And that lets us skip opening the gate, which has a long sequence of puzzles that you need to solve. We then shoulder check that lever so that we can open the gate, otherwise we aren't able to access the end of the level. And now we're just gonna kind of make our way towards the end of the level here. But yeah, coming up after this level, after I kind of just mercilessly run through these guards, is by far the hardest skip in this category, which is Asylum ground skip. It's going to be a series of really difficult platforming-based skips. That's going to let me completely skip the Asylum grounds, which, if you've played this game casually, is the level with the hedge maze where you have to solve all these riddles, and it's really slow. I am going to safety save here because if I don't do this properly, it will soft lock, and I won't be able to continue the run, so... This game's pretty brutal. If you die in a level, it just boots you back to the title screen, so it's very important that I safety save before this. But you're going to be seeing me do jumps off very small pieces of collisions, so I'm going to go a bit quiet here and send me your energy stream / chat. Oh, I fell off the pixel. Okay, hold on. Let's try this again. Okay, that's one of the harder parts. Okay, that's good. Okay, we're on the hedge maze now. That's a lot of the hard jumps done. Okay, good. So we're nearing towards the end here. I have one more tricky dash jump that I have to do, and then we're pretty much good to go with the skit. Okay, gonna take it a little bit slow. Oh, and we got the jump over the hedge, too. That's really, really hard. Alright, sick. So that just skipped... all the Asylum grounds, and this ends with a puzzle where I have to move some chess pieces, because of course I do. They all move corresponding to the type of piece they are. So the king and queen can move in 8 directions, while the rook can only move up, down, left, right, and the bishop on diagonals. Because I got here so quick, the chess pieces were actually in a super good position, which allowed me to get through there super quick. That was a really clean Asylum grounds. I'm really glad I got that quickly in a marathon setting. That skip is so ridiculously scary. If you fall outside of the boundaries of the hedge maze there towards the end, that's a soft lock and you have to try again. It's really, really scary. My health is looking really good, so I technically don't need the safety save, but Inside the Asylum is notorious for being a run killer as well. So we're going to play it safe. But we're on a really sick pace right now, so that's really exciting. Inside the Asylum is relatively straightforward. This is the game's sort of major wave-based enemy combat level. So there's really not too much going on here. What I do have to say is that they omega buffed the zombies in this level to deal 50 base damage instead of 10. I don't know why, but it makes this level ridiculously unfair. This level is much easier in 100% because you have way better weapons at this point. But your hits tend to miss, and they tend to be able to hit you before your sword is able to be close enough to connect with them. So this is a very scary part of the run. So what I'm trying to do is set up these charge swings with the small sword in order to keep them at bay as much as possible. I'm trying to save club durabilities for some higher health enemies later on here. But yeah, this is rather straightforward. You're going to be seeing me do the same kind of manips here over and over. There's not too much to talk about. So Poker, if you got anything else you'd like to plug, this would probably be another good opportunity.
Perfect. We have $10 from Monster860 saying, "Hello again, Jaxler. I am back with more Upgamers. Upgamer, good luck with your run. Upgamer, Upgamer. I guess Upgamer or something? Thank you so much for your donation."
Thanks, Monster. Alright, so I gotta be a bit careful here because this room tends to lag a lot. Alright, so this is the part I really need to be careful. These bats can deal chip damage to you, and then after this bit is when we start to see the higher health undead start to come into play. So now that these guys are spawning in, I'm going to start my charge attacks back up, and it will be business as usual. Once the charger zombies start to show up, which are the bigger, bulkier zombies that you saw a little bit of in Return to the Graveyard, you'll actually see me swap over to the club. This is the part of the run where the club management becomes the most important, so that you can save your club swings for these really high health enemies here. But even then, I'm not completely safe because you have to use your club attacks in a very specific way because of the way that attacking works in this game. Basically, Dan tries to do you a solid by sort of homing in on enemies as they come towards you. Sometimes that can be helpful, such as right here with these jump attacks that I'm doing, but oftentimes that can also be a detriment because it can cause you to whiff if you're trying to attack while running. So I'm going to be standing still for the most part while these enemies and, I guess, straitjacket zombies, I don't know how to describe them. I'm just going to kind of stand still and try to hit multiples if I can with the same club swing to save on durability. The previous room was the really scary one that I was worried about dying in. If you're at low health, that's like the really scary one. Especially if you do the route that Jacobo does, where he actually gets a one less health vial. I don't know how he's crazy enough to do it, but you know, he does. He's nuts, and he has an insane time for it. So, but yeah, now that the straitjacket enemies are gone, I'm gonna be doing charge attacks with the sword, because while the club attack would kill all the zombies in one hit, it's not super efficient in terms of making the most of your club attack. You're also seeing me use jump attacks as well, because your club can lose durability if you swing and miss on the ground. But when you're mid-air, it'll basically, you'll never have any issues with extra durability loss. So I'm staying on the left side here and manipulating these last couple of zombies so that they follow me close to the lava so that I can kill them all super fast. And then luckily, he didn't die for some reason. I'm going to wait a tad, hit this box, and this will insta-wipe all of the enemies in the room and instantly let me finish inside the Asylum. So I'm going to actually avoid that chalice because going to the Hall of Heroes is very slow. And then this frees the mayor of the Sleeping Village, and he rewards us with a dragon gem for doing so. So we're good to go. We got through inside the Asylum, and we're still on actually a really good pace right now, which is pretty sick. So now that we got the 2 dragon gems, we can start moving on towards sort of the late game of the run, if you will. This is we're kind of taking a bit of a break from super crazy level looping tricks for more movement-based type stuff. So the lake is kind of a notorious level, especially when 100%ing the game. If you saw Glackam's run of this game of Hundo at ESA Winter, I'm fairly certain he complained about this level to some capacity. So much so that in the PSP reboot, MediEvil Resurrection, they didn't even bother to remake this level because I think people hated it so much. It's on the PS4 remake, but not on Resurrection. But I'm trying to dash at a very specific timing to avoid taking too much damage. The shield is helping me out significantly on that end. But what we're actually going to do is I'm going to wedge Dan in the side of this rock wall. And that lets me jump over the top of the door to hit the trigger to the exit of the level. That was actually a gold lake split for me, so I'm keeping track of splits on my own. In the background, that was an extremely good lake split. That was really sick. Now, Crystal Caves is the level where we're actually going to get the dragon armor. I'm going to be really careful here because the camera is not your friend here. Still pretty good movement, though. That's like one of the scariest rooms in the entire game because it is because this is a PS1 game with platforming. Its depth perception in these games is kind of tricky because this is sort of a point in game development's history where they didn't have. This was like one of the first major 3D sort of platformer type games, so they didn't really have everything figured out quite yet. So we're gonna turn in our dragon gems here. This is going to summon a dragon mini boss fight, what I'll have to do is a series of club slams on the ground to drop rocks on his head. And then we just repeat this 4 more times, and we're good to go. It's really, really easy compared to how hard the rest of the game is, quite frankly. So bonk him again, and then 2 more times. So now, I guess while we're doing this, I'll briefly talk about why we need the dragon armor. There's a fire barrier, most specifically, there's a fire barrier in the Gallows Gauntlet that requires the fire immunity properties of the dragon armor in order to progress. And so we need it in this category for that purpose. Again, there is a way to skip it. In theory, I'm not sure if it's actually ever been done RTA before. I know, unless Crash has somehow got it without the use of like save states. It wouldn't shock me if he has already, but anywho, we've got the dragon armor, which confers fire immunity while you're wearing it, as well as the ability to breathe fire, which is pretty epic if you ask me. We also grabbed a key from the actual mini boss fight room, and that's the end of Crystal Cave, so that was pretty solid. Gallows Gauntlet is kind of a level where the game tells you, hey, if you haven't found the dragon gems yet, you need to go do that now. Which is kind of a jerk move if you ask me. But as far as the speedrun goes, Gallows Gauntlet is fairly standard. I have to go hit a button. I'm going to be doing it in a very specific way to avoid spawning in a evil serpent enemy who will own my life if I allow him to spawn into the game. So I got to be a little careful here. But otherwise, this level is fairly straightforward. So, Poker, if you got any plugs that you like to read off, this would probably be a good opportunity.
Sure, I would just like to remind everyone that each and every one of your donations is going straight towards Alzheimerfonden, which is the Swedish Alzheimer's Foundation. Alzheimer's Foundation aim and purpose is to increase fundraising to the benefit of scientific research in order to find a cure for Alzheimer's disease. Thank you very much for donating so far. We are missing just $3 from 21,000 right
Holy
now.
smokes.
So if anyone wants to snipe that, then make sure to do it now, because you might not be in for the race in just a second. I would just like to thanks to all of our wonderful donators so far. Thanks to all of you for supporting the event in any way you can. Thank you very much.
Alright, so now we're going into Haunted Ruins. This is like a gauntlet of several of the hardest runs in the whole run, levels in the whole run. Haunted Ruins actually has 2 level loops in it, so we're bringing that trick back. Normally at the start of the level, you're supposed to encourage some chickens to eat at that pile of food right near this drawbridge to reveal a button. But I'm going to do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 more. And then you'll see the camera flip up. Now I'm holding up and to the left. And if I do this properly, I'll land towards the back end of the level and skip about half of it. Okay, cool. Now I've landed up here. So what I'm going to do is you'll see him tiptoe. And I'll barely tap off so that I actually clip through the door. That skips a little bit of running around. And this puts us right in the room with Peregrine's crown. Now, Peregrine is actually the king of this realm. And we have to summon him in order to complete this level, essentially. So, gonna run over here and toss him the crown. He'll exposition us a bit, which will basically, to sum up what we're saying, he's like, bah, That's about all you need to know from this conversation. But we need to do that in order to be able to trigger the end of the level. I'll shoulder check another lever here, and then I will breathe fire on all of these golems to push them into the abyss here, which is how we unlock the gate to get out of here. Cool. So you want to look to see if you get like a time on the timer in the bottom left for basically the level is queuing to kind of explode right now. If you're out of there by 2 or 5 or better, that's pretty good. So I'm doing another level loop here. I think this one's working. Okay, cool. So what this does is if I do this properly, I'm going to hold up and to the right about now. And you'll see the camera flip again. And what this will do is this will actually end up putting me past sort of the tar river in this level, normally what you're supposed to do is you go find another rune, which allows you to unlock a door so that you can flip a lever, which causes the tar to recede and allow you to pass. But doing that level loop actually allows you to skip that, and I think saves roughly 20 to 30 seconds. It's a little weird. But there we go. We go through the catapult, and that's the end of Haunted Ruins. Extremely solid. This run is actually shaping up to be really, really sick so far, so I'm very happy. But don't want to pat myself on the back quite yet. I'm going to save here again because we're probably coming up on the hardest level. IMO, the hardest level loop in the run, which is the Ghost Ship loop. Now, Ghost Ship is one of the coolest levels IMO casually, with possibly the most annoying boss fight I've ever played in a video game at the end with this pirate captain. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be attempting to get out of bounds by doing a dash jump off the rails, and then instantly follow that using a level loop to skip straight to the end of the level. And I'll try to explain the inputs I'm doing during the level loop because you won't see Dan for most of this. But if I do this right, I'll land right where the pirate captain and his first mate are. So hopefully we get this quickly. Come on, Dan, you can do it. Okay, so I almost got it, but I didn't get enough height, so I actually fell into a lower portion of the level from out of bounds, so that's a little annoying. But it's just a quick set of dashes back over here, so... Okay, I got the out of bounds, so I'm holding circle and right. If you're not holding a direction and the circle button, you just die for some reason when you try to do a level loop. Gonna wait for the camera to flip once and then twice. Now I'm holding 1002, 1003, holding right again. So I went down right for 3 seconds and then to the right. And if I did this properly, I land right at the exit. Perfect. All right, we'll take it. That was about roughly second try. So again, that is one of the hardest level loops in the whole run. So very, very sick that I got that as quickly as I did. That is a omega run killer in PB attempts. So now, after 2 of the hardest levels in the run, we've got probably the easiest level in the entire game outside of Dan's Crypt, which is the entrance hall. My guess is the developers intended to put more content here that just kind of didn't make it into the final game. It's a rather straightforward run to the end here. There's really not much of anything going on here other than I'm going to be doing a bit of a skip with a dash jump over the rails there. And that's already the entrance hall. With that last room there, it kind of leads me to believe that there should have been another puzzle or sort of another like mini boss there, but we'll never know. There were a couple of levels in the game's files that got cut, but not enough time to go into all that because we're going into the last level before the final boss, which is the time device. Really cool level casually, but we're going to be skipping the entire level with a level loop. So I'll try to explain what I'm doing. So doing the inventory glitch to fall off. Now I wait for that screen shake right there to cancel the level, the inventory glitch. Hold up and to the right. Now you'll see the bridge appear once, twice. Keep holding upright, and then you'll see the bridge come back into view now. Now I'm holding an angle between down and down left. And if I did this right, you should see Dan plop into the loading zone. Okay, I screwed it up, so I'm gonna have to reload the level. That rarely happens. But that's not a huge deal. That's why we safety saved there. That's kind of an unrecoverable mistake. But if I do that level loop properly, I will fall into the end level trigger of the level and skip so much video game. Okay, it's this level. I forgot that I saved it the previous level, so. Yeah, the save files are a little bit annoying because they tell you what level you saved at when you were on the level select, not by which level you're about to do. So it can be a little annoying when you're practicing, like, oh, what's my practice file? All right, let's try this again. So I'm going to abort this one because my angle was weird. So I'm going to try this again. That was a little unusual. Okay. That looks a bit better. So now I'm holding up and to the right. 1, 2. Screen's gonna go dark. There's the train tracks. So now I hold between down and down left. This should work. Okay, you see the camera stop and you can hit the trigger. What? That is very strange. I might be soft locked. Am I soft locked? Wow, that's actually incredible. Okay, interesting. Well, we're gonna have to try again. But this level loop's pretty hard, so that's kind of expected. I've been getting pretty generous setups with the level loops so far, but this one might take me, hopefully, just one more try. What I should probably do is not try to explain it while I'm doing it, but we'll see what happens here. Alright, I'm gonna completely be quiet for this one. Alrighty, let's get this. I'm gonna abandon ship on that one. If I see him do that hop, that's a bad sign, so I'm just not gonna bother with that. That looks good. Come on, please work, game. 1, 2. Well, a third flash. Okay, interesting. Come on, game, you can do it. Got it! There we go. Okay, third try. We'll take third try. That's fine. Okay. Alright, and I'm going to safety save one last time because sometimes the final boss can be really finicky. So I'm going to save over my entrance hall file. And now we're moving on into the final boss at Xerox Lair. So you're going to see me ride into Xerox Lair on a train that we never saw. Well, you did see it because I screwed up the level loop. But that's totally fine. We're going to be coming up on the final bit here. So hope you all have enjoyed the run so far. This is the final boss is always extremely scary because the game is just incredibly mean here. I'm also at pretty low health as well, so I'm gonna have to be taking some extra heals. For some reason, this pool of health doesn't spawn in every time. I don't know why. I wonder if it's health dependent, but I need to be basically at full health for this bit here, and I'll explain why for people who haven't played this game casually. But we're gonna be filling up here. I grabbed a new thing from that chest called Good Lightning. We're gonna need that for the first phase of the boss fight. So while we're here healing up, I'll sort of explain how this is going to work. So Xerox Final Fight has 3 phases. The first phase, he's going to send in a bunch of skeleton knights to fight you off. And so, with the power of all of the chalices that we ignored throughout the game, we're going to be able to summon our own army to fight off the skeleton warriors. Now, interestingly enough, we cannot directly damage these skeleton knights. What we have to do is let our army damage them instead, and use the Good Lightning to heal our own army, which is kind of interesting. However, every time you use the Good Lightning, it drains some of your health. So I have to be very, very careful here to manage my health, while also keeping as many of my soldiers as alive for as long as possible. So I'm going to be kind of quiet because I'm focusing a bit, but I'll try to explain a couple things I'm looking for. First of all, they don't all start at full health, which is really obnoxious. Some of them are yellow and some of them are green. Their color indicates how high their health is. So this guy in the middle tends to start out really low health. So there's a couple of skeletons here that tend to do better than others. So what I'm trying to do is prioritize those guys, make sure they stay alive, and then also rhythmically go around and check the other ones to make sure that they don't die. You also have to make sure that you're not using the lightning for too long, because while they're getting the powers of the Good Lightning, they can't actually attack the skeleton, the enemy skeletons. So there's this really, honestly, kind of nerve-wracking sort of song and dance that you have to play here while you're doing this bit. Oh, he almost died. That could have been really bad. What happens is, if one of your skeleton knights dies, whoever he was on a one-on-one fight with will go and double team another one of your soldiers, and it becomes incredibly snowbally from there. So what we're trying to do is get that to happen for us, and then hopefully once we get to a certain point, we won't have to worry. Things are looking pretty okay right now, but heal this guy, mid, outside. This is looking pretty good so far. We should be fine. Now you might be a bit worried about. Okay, yeah. So we're pretty much good to go now. We got our first kill. Gonna be helping out a little bit here and there, just to make sure these single fighters do okay. At this point, I don't need to worry anymore. Yeah, 6. So none of my skeleton died, so that's a really good first phase. So For every one that survives, you get an extra life vial, which lets you basically go back to full. I'm going to go ahead and swap over to the dragon armor now, because we are going to be using the dragon armor as our main damage output for the final 2 phases. Funnily enough, we can actually run around and collect some of these energy vials while this cutscene is going. And we can also jump around with them. It's a pretty good time, overall, I will say. But anywho, I'm actually going to be able, because I had so many survivors, I'm actually going to be able to leave a couple of health vials for me on the ground for later in case I take too much damage. Now, phase 2, he's going to be sending in a horseman with a spiked ball and chain. This is by far the easiest phase. What I'll be doing is after he sort of leaves himself vulnerable, I'll just kind of stand still, jump, and activate my flamethrower, and he'll just kind of die. So hopefully I get a pretty decent setup. Generally speaking, running into enemies while you're damaging them lets you get multi-hits. So I'm going to attempt to do that with my flame breath here. So here he comes. Oh, come on. Come back. Okay. He's probably going to go invisible again. Oh, he didn't. That's very kind of him. That was interesting. Alright, I'm going to have to wait just a tad. Bit of a bad fight. That's fine. Usually you try to kill him before he does this attack. Come back here. Cool. Alright, now he's done. Now we're coming into the final phase here. This is where Xerox transforms into an evil creature and is going to fight us. This is the most RNG part of the whole run right at the end. What he'll be doing is, there's one attack where he'll sort of rear up and he'll finally be vulnerable to flames. So time ends as soon as his health falls to 0. This could either take me like 10 seconds or 30 or 45 depending on the luck that I get. So just be prepared on time. So so he'll be invincible for a little bit, and then I'm going to try to run his health down to 0, and that'll be the end of the game. So we'll see how this goes here. So I'm going to just focus here for a second to make sure I don't die. That would be it would be very funny, but very embarrassing. Okay, that's the attack that we want. So running straight into him while doing the fire thing is what lets me get the damage out. Bad luck so far. Okay, that's the attack we want. Come on. Very strange pattern. Come on. Oh, wow, this is some of the worst luck I've ever gotten, period. This is, like, hilarious. Alright, there we go. And time. Okay. Sorry, I couldn't give you a better word of warning. Alright. Dang, we did it. I'm not gonna lie, I was really scared going into this run because, this run is ridiculously hard, both as a casual game because of how much damage the enemies deal, but also with the platforming and the movement and the skips. So unfortunately, time device didn't go super well, but getting a 51 in a marathon setting is really, really dope. This game is just so freaking hard, so I'm glad I got to give a good representation of what this run looks like. So, I'm gonna keep it brief at the end here. Just a couple of shoutouts before I go. First of all, thank you. Big shoutouts to my boy Jacobo the Chocobo. He's currently world record holder in this category, and is also just a general good lad and good legend. Huge shoutouts to you, homie. Shoutouts to Crash. He's currently doing a new task of this game after several years, and it's the person who is responsible for finding the dragon armor skip in the Gallows Gauntlet. So huge shoutouts to Crash for that. Shoutouts to Naz and Noob Killer Roof, the ultimate emulator homie runners. And also shoutouts to Glackham for being the Hundo legend, or a Hundo legend. Well, there's several Hundo legends, but shoutouts to Glack as well for doing the ESA winter run and getting a lot of people interested in the game. If you're interested in picking up MediEvil 1, MediEvil 2, or the PS4 remake as a speedrun, we have a general MediEvil speedrunning Discord that you can find on speedrun.com.
It should be rather easy to find, but if you're having trouble, feel free to reach out to me or one of the other runners. We'd be more than happy to help you out. And the community in general is just super welcoming. But yeah, that's about all the time that I've got. One last shout out. Thank you so much, ESA. I forgot to mention this, but ESA also gave me the opportunity to show off Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights earlier this marathon, and getting 2 really cool, kind of under-the-radar games in one big event like this is a huge honor. So, big thank you to the staff for taking a chance on us, and quite frankly. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you for running both of the fantastic games for us. I have one final donation for you for this run.
Oh boy.
Monster860 gives us $5, saying, since we are so close, I'm closing the gap. I guess since I'm here, I'll ask, Jaxler, when are you running No Cloak? And with that, we are past $21,000 raised for Alzheimer Fund, so thank you all so very much.
Woohoo! Thanks, everybody, and thank you, Monster. All right, but yeah, I don't have much to say otherwise. So yeah, I think yeah. Go ahead.
Then, sure. The next run is Sarugetsu Daisakusen. I'm sorry for butchering that. By SRGT Silent. So stay tuned for that. We'll be right back after a short intermission.
All right, thanks everybody.